All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of SaberSim's DFS office hours. Today is Saturday, November 22nd of 2025. Looking ahead here, have a ton of DFS action coming at you over the weekend. We had golf, MMA, and college football already get started on this Saturday. Good luck to all of you playing some action across those slates. For the rest of the weekend, we have NHL, we have NBA, we have NFL tomorrow, and then we have Formula One tonight in Vegas. So it should be a fun day of DFS. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at SaberSim. This is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS-related questions, get your questions in one of three ways here. First off, send us an email, support@sabersim.com. Second, post it live in the YouTube chat. Third way, post it in the office hours channel in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord and want to get access to that channel, there is a link in the description of this video. You also get access to our similar channels, individual sport channels, and you get access to the rest of the SaberSim team. Just can't say enough good things about the Discord. But with that said, we do this show Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. And then we do this show on Saturdays here at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. So tune in any one of those days to get your questions answered. All right. With that said, let's get SaberSim pulled up on the screen here. No questions to get us started today. So we're going to jump right into a slate demo here, which is perfect. Bunch of DFS action over the weekend. So good to walk through the app and just kind of do like a solid once over here. All right. Why don't I answer something real quick so we have something to work with? That'll make things a little bit easier here. And we can do like a full-on demo. So I'm going to go and enter a contest for Sunday NFL. That way we got something to work with. And we'll just do the one of the dime packages here. So let's do, I don't know, 5 entries. Let's just do a single entry. We've had like a lot of single entry conversations lately. A lot of questions about like single entry and strategy and stuff like that. So I'm going to enter one lineup here, right? Just for simplicity. So first thing, right? I'm on SaberSim. Now, basically on another tab on the same browser, log in DraftKings. Okay, you can close it after logging in, as long as like you're logged in. That works. Then you go to your slate in SaberSim, right? Click the date, click add slate, or you can use the plus icon over here. Same thing, same pop-up. Go find the slate you're going to play, right? We're doing this NFL one. Also be aware, like if I'm on NFL for today, I'm not going to see anything because I have this show only selected date option on. Turn this off, all the slates appear because these are tomorrow and, further, right? Like Monday and stuff. So just be aware of this toggle. All right, we navigate to the main slate. Great. Pulls up here on our slate headers. Then I can use this button in the top left corner to basically tell SaberSim, hey, these are the contests that I'm playing. I'm going to just click this download template file from DraftKings. SaberSim and DraftKings are going to talk to each other. I'm not going to need to do anything super special. Once I do that, I grab this file and I just drag and drop it into SaberSim. And then it's going to update my number of contests. So here it says 1 contest with 1 entry, right? Because we're talking about a single entry here. So perfect. I'm all set up. Notice I can't build lineups yet. That's because DraftKings requires us to make 2 adjustments, 2 projections before kicking off a build. So I just come in here, use these plus minus icons in the projection tab. These are minor changes, not going to have significant. Next thing would be to always build the max number of lineups your plan allows. We have plans that do 500, 5,000, right? I'm just building 1,500 here for a little sake of time. But yeah, max number of lineups is good. I'm also going to turn on this default rule. Don't use players against opposing defense here. I think this is a good rule to have on. It's a rule we set up for you. You just have to turn it on. And then I am going to build lineups. All right. So far, so good. This means that a projection update has come in. So our team is probably updating for some news or something that came out. So you can, what I would probably do is I would go to the Discord and then I would go and see what ran. So if you go to our Discord, if you're not in it, you can join it up here in the top right. and then you go to the NFL lineup alert channel here, we can see, hey, what sim just ran? Oh, it looks like it was Cleveland and Vegas. Some changes, right? Nothing super drastic, like nobody was ruled out or anything like that. So I don't think we need to, but if you wanted to, you could refresh the projections and then rebuild lineups to take into account those updated projections, right? So refresh, rebuild is how I would do it. I'm not going to do it here. I don't think anything too significant occurred, so I'm not super concerned about it. All right. One thing I didn't do was set up one of my templates. So I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to use the direct fill template. It'll give me one group with my one contest and my one lineup that I need. These contest sims ran after the build, or they should have run. Maybe they didn't because I just created this. So I'm going to run the contest sim. And we're just waiting for this. All right. So sim runs, because I have auto run diversifier off, it doesn't diversify right away. It gives me this pop-up. It's up to you whether you want it on or off. I generally like it off just because it's always like kicking if you like make any changes. And we make a lot of changes here for like different scenarios. So now my lineup populates. It populates in this row format. If you don't like that, turn off this use compact lineup view. Now it will be expanded here. I can come in and sort by exposures. I can see my exposures. And then I can kind of go from here, right? There's a lot of different ways you can go from here. You could say, oh, I don't want to play Jacoby Myers. And then I could come in and I could set a 0 for his max exposure, right? If I do that, the builder is basically going to go and find a lineup without him. And I'll just have to rediversify. And then now, I get a lineup without him, right? Another way of doing this, which I kind of like this other way personally, right, is don't set any min or maxes and do one of two things. Now, I like the idea of opening this up to like more lineups and then just kind of looking through them and then just saying like, hey, do I like, I'm not seeing the lineups. Weird. Let's try this. Hold on. Hard to refresh this. Good question. Just rolled in. We'll answer this right now. If I modify my projection, does that modify the SaberScore when lineups are built, or is SaberScore just using SaberSim projections? Good question. So yes, this has an impact on the SaberScore. The reason for that is that we take into account any projection adjustments that you make. We do that up front. And so if you are making projection adjustments, we are automatically taking those into account when we diversify and things like that. So I don't know why this isn't expanding, but to answer the question, yes, we are taking into account your adjustments. Okay, there we go. Now we're seeing more lineups. Something weird was going on there. Okay, so now we're at the 10 lineups. We're in the expanded, right? And then I can sift through these, right? Hey, is there a lineup that I like that looks good to me, right? Maybe I want to see a lineup with a certain player. Okay, if I want to see a lineup with a certain player, maybe I'm like, hey, I'm looking through the top 10 and, I really like these Devontae Smith lineups, right? I think he's going to have a good game. Okay, well, let me just zone in on the Devontae Smith lineups and then let me compare those ones, So I have 3 Smith lineups and let me see what those look like, right? Or I guess I have 2. I have 2 Smith lineups. And hey, what do these look like? Oh, I like the second one. Okay, great. What do? I lock this lineup and then I unfilter. And then I change this number back to 1. And then when I do that, the builder is going to prioritize the lineup that I locked, right? So here I have chosen a lineup by looking through it, locking it, and then now since it's the top one, this is the one that the builder will prioritize for me. So I like that approach. Just kind of using the group and the results and then kind of looking through it and then figuring out, hey, this lineup is the one that, speaks to me, that I like the most, etc. Right? So those are some insights for building a single entry lineup for NFL for tonight. And then we knocked out this question from Rick here about the way that adjusting projections works. Keep in mind, one note on this is that your projection adjustments get taken into account in the pre-slate SaberScore or the pre-slate contest sim. Your projection adjustments do not get taken into account in any of our like flashback or like post-contest sim stuff, right? So like just be aware that you might grade out better pre-slate, and then because we are using the raw SaberSim projections in the post-slate stuff, you might grade out like a little bit worse. So I always say that if you're using any type of custom projections, if you're making adjustments, take the results of the post-contest sim with a little bit more grain of salt, right? I wouldn't expect to be like the top sim ROIer if you're, always deviating from the SaberSim projections. So just keep that in mind. But I think you would still obviously strive to be, positive and like a little bit higher up on the list. And even if you do that right, like, hey, the foundation of my lineups is like pretty strong because I'm still grading out pretty well. All right, couple more questions rolling in. How would you remove players from lineups? Last week, I was trying to get Andrews out of my lineups, but still ended up with him in lineups. Okay, there's two ways to do this. Number one is you could do this before your build, right? And that would simply just be unchecking him like in this table on the left-hand side. Now there's one key important piece here, right? If you are going position by position, you could end up in a situation where you think they are unchecked, but in fact, they are not. And the reason for that, right? Let's say I go to my tight ends, right? And I'm looking at the tight ends and I go down here and I uncheck Mark Andrews, right? The problem is that he has both tight end eligibility and flex eligibility. So these are like the true positions that you see in your DraftKings lineup. So if I uncheck him in tight end, well, SaberSim can still put him in lineups in the flex, and that may be what you're running into. The better way of unchecking players and going position by position is to go to the Alt tab, right-click on the position column, go down to tight end, and then this, when I uncheck him, will basically uncheck him in all positions that he is eligible for. So if you do it this way and go position by position, you will never end up in a spot where like, hey, he's unchecked in the tight end, but I still got him in the flex, right? So keep that in mind. It's a little bit tricky, but that is the way it works. Okay, that was it. Awesome. Yeah, glad we clarified that one for sure. It can be tricky. All right, next question. Should you use late swap when in a main slate such as NBA and there are several game start times? If so, in what order? Example being update projections, then late swap. Okay, good question. So on an NBA slate, right? We'll just look at the slate for today. Today, 4-gamer. So the answer is yes, you should absolutely use late swap. Very, very important tool, very, very beneficial tool, right? The reason that you should use late swap is because, different sports have different criteria about when the teams must announce who is in and who is out. All right. NFL has a hard cutoff of 90 minutes before game start time. You must announce which players are active for the game and which players are inactive. That gives you a lot of time, before the game starts to know who's in, who's out. It gives us a lot of time to update And then, generally like within an hour of the game starting, everything's pretty much set in stone. Like no more changes, right? MLB lineups usually come out 3 hours prior to lock, 2 hours prior to lock. Like that's kind of pushing it, but that's generally not what happens. Like 3 hours prior to lock is like pretty standard. NBA doesn't have hard and set rules, and it makes it very, very tricky. So NBA teams can announce 10 minutes before the game starts who's in, who's out, 10 minutes before the game, which players are starting and which ones are not. And it causes a little bit of a frenzy. And the other thing with NBA is that this game, quote unquote, starts at 4, right? 4 p.m. Pacific time here. Well, tip-off isn't until 10 minutes after the game starts, right? If this is like MLB, the game is at 7:07, like first pitch is at 7:07, right? So NBA is a lot looser with a lot of their rules in terms of who's in, who's out. And it makes it so you don't know before the games start, right? Before the slate starts. Like if there are questionable players, and we can just look, right? We'll go to questionables. We look here and, Washington has like Sarr questionable. Milwaukee has Kyle Kuzma questionable. D'Angelo Russell questionable. We may not know any of this information when the first games start. And then if they get ruled out, projections are going to change. These additional minutes have to go somewhere. And all of a sudden they benefit other players and projections change, right? You're absolutely going to want to late swap to take advantage of that information. Even if, very important, those players are not in your lineup, okay? If I am not playing any Kyle Kuzma and he gets ruled out, like, oh, that didn't affect me, right? That's not true. Because it opens up additional minutes for another player who is maybe expected to come off the bench. And now that player is a really good play that you probably want in your lineups, right? They add a lot of value. They give you some salary relief, and they're basically underpriced for the amount of time that they're expected to play, right? So late swapping, super, super important in NBA. And then we also do the same thing that we talked about for like NFL, where we summarize the projection adjustments throughout the day here. So you can keep your eye on these. And especially once the slate starts. And I'm trying to look if there's like a situation where somebody changed. Like here, I think we expected Lively not to play. And then he ended up playing. So here, right, Lively goes from 0 to 18. Some other projections ran. Nothing too crazy yesterday in terms of news, it looks like. But we can see projections changing basically all over the place. So super, super important to late swap. And I can't stress doing that enough. All right. We are all caught up with questions here. Knocked out a slate demo. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll be back Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern for our next show. So until then, everybody, take care. Good luck. Thanks. Bye.